What's up, STEM Squad? My name is Jay Flores from Rockwell Automation, and I'm excited to bring you another episode of Changing the Game. Our 10th episode is going to feature a former NFL safety with the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Washington football team. So I'm super excited to have Jose Gumbs on the call with us today. I see you're in the chat, Jose. If you can do the requests to join the live. We're excited to have you on. This is our 10th episode of Changing the Game, and we've brought some awesome guests. It's no different. We have an amazing person that has played at the most elite level and is going to be able to showcase. Hey, how's it going, man?
My boy Jay, what's going on, chat?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. Chilling. You know how it is. Excited for this episode we got going on, and let's get this thing rolling. You know how it is.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on, especially on Thursday night. I know Thursday night football's on right now, so appreciate you taking some time to be with us and share some of your experiences, your expertise, and just some of your thoughts for the future with the students that are joining us from all over the world. So wherever you're joining from, let us know in the comments what country you're coming from, what your team number is. If you have a favorite NFL team, throw that in the comments too. Just share some love for that. We're already seeing some team numbers, team 67, 63.
I've seen
Shout
that.
out to them. And lots of hearts I see going up here. So people are excited. But yeah, thanks again. And I'm excited to hear what you'll share with the students. But let's start with where you started. When you were growing up, were you a fan of football from day one? Were you like 5 years old out on Pee Wee football, or did you play other sports? How did kind of your general path towards the NFL start from a very early,
You,
start?
that's a great question. You want to know what's crazy, Jay? Is that in all honesty, NFL was never in like my vision. It was
Okay.
always baseball because my uncle he played 90 years in the major leagues. So
Ah,
I was my first sport was baseball.
okay.
And I remember my first year was 1996. I was 8 years old, and some guy just came over to my dad, and he was like, "Hey, how about you put them to, play football?" I never
Hmm.
understood anything about football. My father told me when I was little, literally wearing diapers, probably 2 years old, if that. I watched football and I get excited. But long story short, started playing that. I was always the smallest guy on the team and the youngest one
Okay.
too. So I was played up a year with the older guys,
Hmm.
and slowly but surely, I will not forget. It was my freshman year in high school. After my freshman year in high school, excuse me, I actually had my growth spurt. I grew 4 inches and gained 20 pounds.
Okay.
So after that, it seemed like everything got slower and everything. And I'm still trying to play baseball. And everybody just kept telling me, no, I think football's for you. I think football's for you. So I ended up going to boarding school up in Maine.
Okay.
And I'm telling my football coach, I want to play baseball. I want to be a baseball player. He's like, no, I think you should stick to football. I still play baseball. Long story short, I got injured. Ended up walking on to Monmouth University. When I walked on
Okay.
there, I asked my head coach, Coach Cal, and Coach, do you mind if I play baseball? He was like, in all honesty, Jose, I think your future's in football. I never
Hmm.
understood why. Like, why they keep telling me this? Baseball is in my bloodline. Why are you doing this to me? But long story short, he's like, you're gonna see what's gonna happen. And slowly but surely, scouts started coming in. And next thing you know, I had a pro day. My mom was there. She cried. And from there, it just went. It
Okay.
went.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I think for the students on the call, when you're on your teams, there may be different aspects of the team that you may or may not know that are kind of destined for the skill set that you have. So I think it's key to have mentors and coaches along the way that can help you see things that you may not have seen at first. You were so focused on baseball that you may not have realized how much talent you had for football.
Yeah, very true, very true. Because in all honesty, though, when I came in, especially like when they scouted me, I actually went as an undrafted free agent because they told me,
Okay.
Jose, you just a raw athlete. Because my whole
Mhm.
focus was on baseball, but I never developed that, that Ed Reed type mentality where they know how to read defenses and stuff like that. Because at the level I was playing at, I just run to the ball and tackle the guy. If you see there, just go there. We never understood schemes. When I got to the NFL, I learned it, and which is
Yeah.
actually pretty dope. It was actually pretty dope how they do it. It's everything that has to do with STEM too, like the
Mhm.
mathematics, like you got to be 2 yards in the hash marks and all this little stuff, the timing of the plays and all that stuff. How you
Yeah.
can throw it off. If you 1 second off from the route, especially with a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, it will throw the whole play off.
Wow.
literally
Yeah,
from one
it's
second.
like it's those little details, the angles, the speed, the distance that even if you don't necessarily feel like you're writing that out on pen and paper, right? You're not doing a math problem on pen and paper. You're still kind of analyzing that in your mind. You're doing a physics problem to try to get to the ball, right?
Exactly, exactly. And there's a lot. It's a lot of studying. You have to do a lot of film studies, and not only that, like literally, and the NFL was so detailed to the point that we will know from the down and distance, the quarter, the timing of the quarter,
Yeah,
where on the hash mark you at, and what kind of formation you have. If you have this formation and all those other aspects,
yeah.
75% of the time they'll run the ball. So we already know in our mind
Mm,
there's a 75% chance they're gonna run the ball. So we already know have a run mentality, run mentality, run mentality to stop
okay.
it. Yep.
So you're that, I mean that's statistics right there, right? You're analyzing the probability of something happening, and I'm sure there's more and more data in the game
A lot.
now than there was in the past. So let's start there. Let's go back to I caught something that you said that you leveled up when you started understanding how to read defenses and how to study that. Did technology play any role in that? I know you're probably when you were younger didn't have the same access to like tablets and stuff to be able to study defenses or offenses or vice versa, right? So did that like kind of shift also in the way that you could study and learn more about another team and what an offense might try to do?
Big time, big time. Because in all honesty, we were able to get the tight and the wide. So it's like the wide is basically from the sideline that you can see the
Okay.
formation, and the tight will be from the goalpost where you can see actually what's going on from the formation, which is what we see. And
Mm-hmm.
back in the days, especially when I was playing in Pop One, we would have the VHS, cassette for the VCR, and it's not the same. My father used to
Yeah.
actually film our games, so once I got there to that level, I'm like, wow, it actually looks way different because you can see every position, who
Mm-hmm.
did the wrong. Literally, the coach can see every 11 position and know who messed up. And in the football team, it's literally like a car. Everybody has their part. You got the
Mm-hmm.
engine, you got the transmission, you got the
Okay.
brakes, you got the steering wheel, and you got the driver.
Yeah.
Everybody got to do their job. If you don't do your job the right way, the whole thing fails. So with the whole technology thing, man, it changed it to a whole nother level, which I'm pretty sure right now it's way different, especially the high school
Yeah.
kids that they have it. Back in the days, we didn't. We would do film studies with the coach. Like during
Okay.
our break, we would come in with the coach, we watch film. But now, when I went to the NFL, it was literally we have a tablet, you keep it, they'll send it to you, and they'll know if you're watching it or not. Did you
Mm-hmm.
study? Hey, Gumbs, you didn't study. What happened? I'm like, nope, no excuse, fine. There you go. But yeah, but
Wow.
technology played a big role in everything, man. Plays a big role.
Yeah, that's wild to you mentioned something I wouldn't even have thought of. I thought maybe it was just like easier for you to access, you have it on the iPad, but just the different angles and being able to see it from your perspective of what you would see on the field versus I bet when the VHS, stuff was out there, you couldn't really change any angles. You couldn't, even just fast forwarding and going back and forth was probably much more tedious. I picture just, I don't know if you remember in like elementary school and middle school when they brought in the moving cart with a big fat TV on
Oh
top.
my gosh, yes. It was
Is that
almost,
what it was
literally
like?
just like that. Yup, literally just like that. And but in high school for us was different because at that moment they had the little thing that they'll be on top of the stadium. They'll have that angle. But it
Okay.
was different in the NFL because in the NFL you had the iPad where you could go
Mhm.
right after practice and watch it. We'll study film, take
Okay.
notes, literally take notes, go
Yeah.
back to your house because we literally work from 6:30 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Okay.
or depending on what team you play for and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we have to study, take notes, and every little thing. I could literally study just the way you line up your feet and know exactly
Mhm.
what you're gonna do.
Wow.
That's how we did it.
That's great. So many details that you don't think about, right? People don't always view athletes as analytical, but you're examining absolutely everything to try to get, some kind of athletic advantage, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we could like, especially like, let's say there's a main player.
Hmm.
We'll see his demeanor. If we're gonna
Okay.
double team him, we'll watch him. Like, usually when he's not gonna get the ball, he will jog. Once we see that, we'll study
Hmm.
that part and we're like, yo, the moment he jogs, we already know he's not getting the ball at all. Forget about
Yeah.
him.
It's going to someone
Go to
else.
somebody else. Go to somebody
Okay.
else. So that was one of the things that I can't tell you exactly what team we did it to, but we did that to one of the players. We'll double team him with a corner and a safety watching up top. And I was a safety up top. And then the moment I seen him jog, I'm like, it's either run play or somebody else gonna get the ball. What we doing here now?
Okay. Yeah, that's why just being able to take what you studied on film, thanks to the new angles, the different technology, to then make better decisions on the field. that could either, cost you a touchdown or help you make an important stop.
Exactly.
So that analytical mindset can make a huge difference. And now, as we kind of hinted at earlier, they're probably studying so much data. I've seen this. I don't know if it's just I've been thinking about it more this season because of what we're doing with this series, but I feel like teams are taking different risks at different times now. Like, for example, like going for a touchdown instead of the field goal, or going for it on fourth down when in the past I may not have seen that. And what I've kind of heard some announcers hint at is because they have more data now that in this position, like if you're this far down the field, go for 3 versus if you're this far, go for 7, or depending. I don't know. I'm sure there's so much more data that teams are analyzing now than they would have in the past.
Yeah, it's a lot of data. And in all honesty, though, if you have a good team and you want to be you a good coach and you want the
Mm-hmm.
team to respect you, you will go against the data. Like there's
Okay.
times it could be fourth and
Interesting.
15. They could be fourth and 15, and if you trust the
Yeah.
players, they'll literally they'll run through a wall for you as a coach.
Okay.
So a lot of time when players see that, man, come on now, coach is actually trusting us. Let's make this thing happen, and they'll do
Mm-hmm.
it. Certain coaches, they'll take the conservative way, which is like, you know what, it's a 2% chance that we make the first down. Let's just punt the ball.
Uh-huh.
Other coaches will be like, yo, forget the data, throw that thing out. I trust you guys. Let's go get it. And they'll
Okay.
actually do it. They'll actually do it. Like it's
Yeah.
happening a lot. It's happening a lot.
Okay. And so that and I guess it could go on the other side, right? If you don't go for it, you're showing, not so much trust in your team versus if you are, you can, show a little trust there. But I hope that then that if a coach is using that data, then you can have that conversation at least, right? At least understand it.
Exactly.
We're getting tons of love. I've seen teams share their team numbers from all over the place. So keep throwing that. We got teams from Nevada, from all over the country. There's
Brazil,
several people
Africa.
from teams 6200. So shout out to that team. And then also, I'm starting to see some of the questions come in. So definitely post your questions if you guys have any questions from Jose. Oh, here we go. Hello from Brazil and hi from Africa. We've
I
got
see that.
global out here. And Mexico as well. We have a lot of teams in Mexico. So thank you all for sharing that. And then make sure, again, if you have specific comments on his experience, on how they view science and tech in the sport, and even if you've got some future thinking questions, let us know and we'll see what we can do about those. But so the next kind of area let's go into, so we got a little bit about your background. We already hinted at right away from your beginnings how that's kind of changed and evolved. Is there an area of the sport that has a lot of science and tech that people might not think about when you first think of football? Or on the flip side, is there an area where you're like, man, we've been doing this the same way forever. Like we should add some technology to this.
Honestly, I think when it comes to safety,
Mm.
I think they changed that a lot. If you
Uh-huh.
look at games from like 1996, 98, the
Yeah.
equipment were a lot bigger. Like the shoulder pads were huge,
Okay. Yeah.
huge. But as players, I couldn't say as players started evolving, which means the younger guys started growing, they evolved a
Mm-hmm.
lot different. So while the
Okay.
equipment was getting smaller and lighter, they were getting
Mm-hmm.
bigger and faster. So that's the
Interesting.
aspect I've seen that they changed a lot. So would I say the injuries changed? Kind of. They also changed like the kickoff and some of the helmet
Okay.
to helmet hits. They changed giving people penalties, finding them
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money for that. And is it working? Yes, because now they're thinking twice, but at the same time, it's kind of hurting them at the same time. Because
Okay.
now, me as a defender, the moment I see a play and it's a bang bang play, I'm gonna try to strike you and make sure I get the ball off of you to
Mm-hmm.
to cause an incomplete pass or a fumble. But now you got to think twice before you do that. And I'm talking about this is a fast game where it's like you're gonna think twice to a point where you're either gonna miss a tackle because you thought twice, now you gave up a big play and everybody looks at you like you don't know how to play, or you get a penalty because people's like, yo, what are you doing? Why do you hit him so hard? But
Yeah.
then when you think about it, in all honesty, Jay, you can see like a lot of safeties for my position. They
Mm-hmm.
average probably about, the tallest you probably see is 6'3", which was the
Okay.
guy from Seattle, or
Mm-hmm.
Sean Taylor. And a lot of them average my height, which is 5'10", 5'11", and you're going against a guy that's 6'5". So now
Okay.
if a tight end is coming, across the middle, and I go to hit his knees and he ducks his head, and we go helmet to helmet, why is that my
Mm-hmm.
fault? That's a part
Okay.
that I don't understand because like I was trying to take his knees out, so he won't, so I won't hit him
Yeah.
in the helmet, but he ducked his head and that was my fault.
Okay.
That's one thing I would change about it. But other than that, man, it's a game that's just getting faster and faster. These
Hmm.
young cats that's coming up, they're getting smarter and smarter. That's why you see college coaches. They get paid tens of millions of dollars a year to coach these guys in Alabama, LSU,
Yeah.
and Ohio State. But man, it's man, sky's the limit to football. The only thing
Hmm.
is like, how can you slow down the injuries? You can't. It's a collision sport. It's not a contact
Yeah.
sport. It's a collision sport.
Okay.
But man,
So it's kind of like finding that balance of rules versus technology, right? So if that rule is impacting the game, where can you find ways to make the helmet technology better or the pads better so that a player can, you can still have that contact that the game is designed originally to have, but preventing those like kind of more serious injuries, head injuries, etc. Um, do you remember your first helmet, and did that look very different from the helmets today?
man, if I had a picture right now, you would be laughing at me right now. It was literally the most uncomfortable thing I've ever had in my life. First of all, it didn't even
Okay.
fit me right. It was
Mm.
like up here, and like you could see my lip. The face mask went down up to here because it just didn't fit me right. Then it was just super heavy because I wasn't used to it. I was used to wearing a baseball helmet, batting
Mhm.
up, and it was hard for me because it kind of restricts you from looking left to right. I'm not used to
Yeah.
that. In football, you gotta be on a swivel, looking left to right. I started running like this every time, looking from the corner of my eyes.
Okay.
But man, that equipment, if you look at it, it was funky. Number one, it was
Mhm.
heavy. Was it as good as now? No, it wasn't. But for
Yeah.
that moment, it was. But technology, like you said, it has changed so much to the point where you put that helmet on, you feel like you put a whole foam bed on top of your head, a whole pillow
Mhm.
on it.
Okay. So, and you mentioned an interesting thing because I think most people think about safety and protecting your head, but the comfort of the design is so important as well. So, anyone that, any of the teams that may be looking at helmet design as part of their projects, don't just think about safety and concussions, which is what you usually hear about and is very important, but even just the player's ability to see the field, the player's ability to move comfortably, and to not feel like you have this really weird thing bouncing around on your head the whole time while you're trying to do your job, right?
Exactly, because it's literally all about especially looks too. Guys will go
Mm-hmm.
for looks. Some guys
Okay.
will actually literally. I've seen guys that the new helmets came out and they're trying to take away the old ones, and they're like, no, I don't want that because if
Mm-hmm.
you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you play good. So the
Yeah.
guys were like, man, when those big bulky helmets came out, I'm like, I don't want to wear that. I don't look good. That's not my type of game. My game is looking pretty and doing this and doing that,
Yeah.
and but slowly but surely they started going away from it, and uh, yeah,
There's some weird looking helmets. Is that what you're
yeah.
trying to
Oh
say?
man, let me tell you something, man. There was one helmet they gave me one time, and I was like, "Yo, bro, there's no way I'm gonna go play with this." But it's because a lot of you not now, especially that you're bringing this up.
Mhm.
I used to suffer a lot from concussion,
Okay.
like especially in college. Like
Hmm.
I'm talking about, I knocked myself out. I wouldn't get concussed to the point where it's like I got to be out, but my
Yeah.
body my body will function to the point where if I hit you hard enough, it'll just
Hmm.
shut down, and then I wake up like,
Hmm.
oh, what's the next play? What's up? But and then we had this thing called the impact test. Now, impact test you take prior to the season starting or prior to
Hmm.
training camp starting because they want
Okay.
to see exactly what you memorized and all that stuff. If you have a concussion, your memory will kind of slowly, dwindle away. So you got to take
Hmm.
the test. The guy that actually created the test, because I got knocked out so many times, came to my school at Monmouth University and gave me the manual test. And he was like, "You actually scored a lot better than a lot of guys with no concussion." So I'm not understanding what's going on with your body. I'm like, he's like, maybe you hit so hard that your body's wired to the point where it just shuts down. So it's like, boom, shut
Okay.
down, wake up. All right, what's the next play? And it
Yeah.
would be probably like a 5 second knockout. People were looking at me like, yo, Jose, Gumbs, get up, Gumbs, get up. I'm like, hey, what's up? What happened? I'm like, bro, you was just sleeping. I'm like, oh, my bad. Sorry. Let's go. Next play.
He
But
took
it's
a quick nap.
yeah, but it's actually scary though. That was actually one of those scary moments because to the point that all you can do is hear, but you can't move. So I'm like, whoa,
Okay.
is this my time? What's going on over here? But the concussion thing is serious. So that's one thing I think football they are looking into it. But if there was one thing I would change, it would be somehow what can we do to change it? Is it no helmet to play like
Yeah.
rugby, or is it with helmets and or what? I don't know, bro. It's a crazy one right there.
Well, that's a good question for all the students that are thinking about this topic to continue to look into whether it's rule changes or improving helmets, coming up with something totally different for your head that looks very different from helmets today. I think there's a lot of avenues that they can go out and explore. But I think some of those key things are both the safety of the player, their ability to do their job, right, as whatever position they're in. You know, I've seen, right, kickers usually have a different kind of face mask, right, than other positions.
Someday I see you. My aunt was just on. Why did they call me the Hammer in college? I love you, Thea. Nah, they called me the Hammer. It was in college. It was at Pop Warner because I
Okay.
was always the smallest guy, but I'll hit them
But
hard.
you're
There was
tough.
actually one guy that I hit, and he was huge kid, and ended up breaking his leg.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it was one of those things. They called me the Hammer because of that. And thank you, Thea, for that question, though.
I love to that. Yeah, I also saw Londra from Exatlón on here. A lot of people saying hi from all over. Small state hello from Team 78. Lots of love today, man. I love it. Um, so let's go into a quick question we got from the audience, and it kind of goes to what we were talking about right now.
Yes.
And it says, do you think the rules of football have changed along with the technology, or do you think the technology has helped change the rules? Like, which direction do you think that's going in? Because the way that you explained it, it seems like they've been doing a lot to try to avoid those hits. But do you think there's any changes that may or may not have happened because the technology is getting better, or do you think any of those will go back to the original version? Has it impacted the game, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I think you mentioned a little bit that it has impacted how you play.
Actually,
Do you
very
think
good
that
question.
can go both ways?
It goes both ways. Now, back in the days, remember how many cameras we had in football? We barely had any angles.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about to the point where you got guys running the sideline. Now in the first down line, they have a
Mm-hmm.
little thing there with a camera. Now
Yeah.
technology definitely helped with that because now they're able to slow it down, see different angles of what caused any injury. Now when they're able to see that, they could tweak a penalty. They could tweak the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and even with technology, especially that you bring that up, back in the days when you tore your ACL, your career was done.
Oh yeah, that's a
That
good
was the
point.
career ender right there.
Yeah.
Now it's to the point, man, you got a year off and then you come back like it's brand new. If not better. If not better.
Yeah.
So technology definitely has helped a lot, but also the rules. Ah, me as a defender, I love the rules. I don't like the rules at the same time. That makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you.
Because like I don't want to think twice when I'm gonna hit somebody. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not good. I like the quick game where it's a bam bam. Because I was always the
Yeah.
guy that loved to hit. I like to cause the hit rather than get hit. But
Uh-huh.
at the same time, it's all about safety. I will never forget
Yeah.
when we played against Tony Gonzalez, who played for the Hall of Fame, who played for the Atlanta
Yeah.
Falcons, Kansas City Chiefs, and he came up to us when I was playing with the Washington team,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Yo, guys, whatever you guys do, I don't care what you guys do, don't hit me in my head. You can take my knees out, I don't care, just don't hit my head." And that was when I was like, "Wow, the CTE is really serious." He was like, "Yeah, because I could recover from a knee injury, but
Mm-hmm.
from a CTE, nah,
It's
there's
over.
nothing you
Yeah.
can come back from that."
Yeah, man, that makes it deep. And I know, obviously your rivals on the field, but in real life, you wish the best for him and other athletes that you may have even played with on another team at some point. So I think that's key. And first we call it kind of gracious professionalism and also cooperation. Like, so collaborating and competing or cooperating and competing at the same time.
Exactly.
So I think though that that's key in the spirit of the game. Yeah, we're gonna fight hard. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna tackle you. But at the end of the day, you've got a family to go back to, and so that's a key way that the technology and helmets and other type of safety equipment can uh, save people's lives. But you also mentioned how fast it is, right? So you're trying to make this split decision of what to do, and something that's happening in literally a heartbeat. And so let's talk about that. I know there's a lot more with instant replay. The pylons at the end, for those who don't know what a pylon is, it's a little orange kind of stick by the touchdown.
Hmm.
There's so much more information and data. I still think though the first down lines, that seems very kind of basic to me, right? When they just move the chains.
Well, the first down line, we don't see it. You guys see it. The TV, the people
Yeah.
on the screen see it. And
Yep.
is it accurate? For the most part, it is. It sometimes be off by a little bit. But
Okay.
other than that, we really don't pay no mind to that. Like even when we watch film, we can't see the first
Mhm.
down line. The
Okay.
fans actually see it. But like when I watch games on film, it's a
Mhm.
lot different than the games that you guys watch on TV because
Okay.
our angle is strictly wide and tight. You guys get different angles from the end zone, from the corner of the power line,
Yeah.
from the first down, from the sideline, from up top, from the what's it the blimps and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
for us, it's strictly it's 1-on-1. What is your job?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like Jay, you could be a corner, and we always gotta communicate. And sometimes it be so loud that we gotta do sign language. Every little thing that
Okay.
we do.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna double team him. This is what
Yeah.
we still on.
Yep, we're good. I
All
lost
right,
you for a
yeah, my
second,
mom was
but
calling.
you said you were using sign language, and then it went out for a second.
Yeah, no, that was my mom. She just called me, but I
Oh,
guess she
okay.
remembered. I tried to tell her that, hey, I'm gonna be on live with Jay. But yeah,
Tell her I
what we
said
were
hi.
talking. Mommy, I love you. She probably on watching us though.
Yeah.
Nah, she does.
You were saying that you sometimes you had to use sign language because it could be so loud.
It's super loud over there, and it's all
Hmm.
communication. So now a lot of people like let's talk about safety. Like the position safety,
Hmm.
you're basically the quarterback of the team because you have to
Hmm.
communicate with the linebackers and with the corners
Yeah.
and the other safety too. So we have designated one guy that speaks, or sometimes two. All right, so what we got? All right, you got
Hmm.
that side, you call that side, I call this side. And we gotta let the
Okay.
linebacker know, hey, if you got the force play. Now, force play means that if it's a run play, you make sure you force everything inside to
Hmm.
everybody else. And
Okay.
I got the force play, that means the linebacker stays inside and force it right into him. So a lot of
Hmm.
people don't understand that part about it. The
Okay.
communication part. If you see a linebacker looking back, it's because of that. There was for instance, there was a play that happened with Tampa Bay and New Orleans. And
Hmm.
the linebacker was there like trying to say something to I think another linebacker or safety, which
Okay.
that means hey, we in and out. In and out means I'm gonna stay outside him. Whatever comes out, I pick up. Whatever goes
Yeah.
inside, you pick up. They never got the communication in. That's where the guy got
Hmm.
a free release to the inside, scored a touchdown. And
Okay.
a lot of people got confused, like, oh my God, look at him, what is he doing? I'm like, see,
Hmm.
those that know. The guy was trying to
Yeah.
communicate, they didn't understand, he didn't pick it up, so that
Hmm.
made the whole play look so bad,
Okay.
so bad.
And do all players have like a communication inside the helmet?
No, only the
For
linebacker, because the linebacker and the quarterback, and
linebacker and the quarterback.
yeah, and sometimes, for instance, let's say you have a team that's they like to run a lot of no huddle. Some of the
Hmm.
receivers will have it. So
Okay.
you'll see something like that. But I think in the NFL, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it's only quarterbacks and linebackers that can only have it.
Okay.
Yeah, because linebackers got to bring in the play, and the safety are the ones that communicate.
Hmm. So that's interesting how that this season, because of COVID and not having fans in the stands, that changes the game completely because now you can hear all the time. Versus in the past, you might go into the Superdome and you can't hear anything, right? When the
Man,
crowd is loud and trying to make some noise to stop the offense.
it's crazy in the Superdome. Superdome in Kansas City, one of the loudest stadiums. I actually never got the chance to play in Kansas City. I was
Okay.
with the team, but never actually play. But it
Hmm.
was so loud in the Superdome that you could feel the vibration of the noise in your body. Like
Wow.
it's like you're running and you feel like something is trying to hold you back. Like what is this? And it's just the noise from like you feel it in your helmet. The things are
Yeah.
shaking. It's almost like having a subwoofer in your car, and it's
Mm.
shaking your windshield, shaking your trunk, and that's how it felt. And it was oh my God, I will never forget that moment, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. And so the circumstances are, change that environment. Um, be interesting to see what teams might think about how you could help a team, in a situation like that when there is a lot of noise. So teams, if you're out there thinking about that as a potential challenge, there's another one we may not have thought about in the past.
Oh, but
Um,
they actually, not to cut you off, Jay. They actually, a lot of teams, especially like in practice, we don't have fans there, but they so far in advance in the NFL that they'll actually have loudspeakers in there.
okay.
So we
To
practice
simulate the
yeah,
environment.
yes, exactly, to
Okay.
simulate the environment, and then
Yeah.
we'll get used to the noise and how to communicate. Hey, you can't hear me? Look back, so you know what communication we having.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it gets to the point where, all right, so if me and you understand each other and you playing corner and I'm playing safety, and I
Yeah.
forget to call something, you be like, Gums, you know what? Let's just do this. I'm like, all right, cool. As long as we know we're both on the same page, we're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so that's key in kind of and deciding that as a team and having that chemistry to be able to coordinate even when you can't hear each other.
Big time.
Okay. Um, let's go back to. I know you were, you came in after the draft, but in terms of the technology there, I think to like the vertical leap test when you're trying to see what someone's vertical is, and it's basically a stick with a bunch of little plastic sticks on it, right? It doesn't seem it's like something that's super accurate that's analyzing the stats for something that's going to make $1 million decisions, right, on where someone goes in the draft and what teams they go to kind of deciding their future. Have you thought about that in the past, into what kind of information is out there in technology to analyze athletes and make decisions on who you should have on your team?
Let me tell you something, Jay. I love the fact that you asked this question. That's a great question. Because it's a lot of false advertisement out there.
Okay.
Just because you jumped a 45-inch vertical, ran a 4.2, does that mean you're going to be the best player in the NFL? No.
Okay.
A lot of time, that's more for marketing.
Mm.
I'm not trying to throw the NFL under the bus or anything like that. I love you guys because you guys give me a chance. But a lot of times you see a guy that's like 6'3", 220 pounds, ran a 4.3, and they're like, oh my God, he should be in the first round. I'm like, yeah, but is he better than the guy that is actually very smart in football? He may be slower, but his instinct is a lot faster. I'd rather take that guy because his instinct is so much faster than that. And now, speed, you cannot teach. But smartness, you cannot take that away from anybody. Like, you can look at a Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was one of the smartest guys you'll ever see. Was he the most athletic out there? Did he run a 4.4? Or Tom Brady? Tom Brady probably had one of the worst combine stats you will ever see. But look at this man right now. Look at his stats. Them numbers do not lie. So that's the reason why I say, all right, so when you watch the combine, it's cool because it's very entertaining. But now, does that transfer over to the NFL? Not quite, because you're not running by yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to have equipment on. You're not going to be running in tights. You're not going to be you're not going to be jumping no 40-inch vertical or nothing like that. You're not going to be doing no broad jump over anybody.
Yeah.
But it just shows how athletic the person is. And it makes them feel better that he has a God-given gift that certain people don't have. And that's what separates good from great players. Okay. So yes, it's good, and sometimes it's false advertising.
Yeah, but you still have to have the football smarts.
Yes.
In addition to the skills, you need to have the kind of that background and that instinct and that knowledge.
Yes.
Are there someone Tree Fitty cosplayer here? She asked he or she. Sorry, I can't tell from the little photo, but what kind of technology do they have at the compound? So we talked about some that are pretty basic, but was there anything? I'm not saying there is. Maybe there is or there isn't. Was there anything that seemed to be pretty high tech there at the compound?
Compound as in like the facility?
And yeah, I think she meant the combine.
The combine. Oh, the combine. Yeah. I never went to the combine, but it's nothing crazy. I mean, for the most part, probably the technology they will have is they'll have the laser clock for the 40. Okay. That's about
so
it.
You
it's
got
probably
really
the most
accurate time.
Yeah, the more accurate rather than a hand clock. And I didn't see anything. But now in the facility, top of the line technology. Yeah. Yes, they did. Okay. Like there was let's say you get injured, they'll have a pool, like a whirlpool with a treadmill inside of it, and you're running it. Yeah. That's like, let's say you have an ankle injury or knee injury. That's so it can have less impact on your joints, and you're running it, so you can still stay in shape, and you can stay game ready. And just the different things that we did, man. You get injured, you got to be there 2 times a day, literally 2 minimum, 3 times, 4 times, because this time that you can have an injury that's supposed to keep you off the field for about 4 weeks, and you can come back in 2 weeks if you stay on top of your stuff. Literally stay on top of your stuff.
Yeah. I saw a post recently that Russell Wilson mentioned he spends $1 million a year on his body. And so that's like all that technology that you're talking about for recovery, the doctors that he has on his team, et cetera. And so it's a serious business when it comes to sports recovery for, the top players in the NFL and elite, other elite sports. I also saw, I forget which player it was, but his wife shared a kind of a TikTok video of how beat up he was after a game, because you don't really see that right away. But the next day, I'm sure you're pretty beat up, right? And so that recovery to get ready for next Sunday, or if you have a Thursday night game, that recovery period is very short and super important. So I'm guessing, but can you confirm yes or no if like that recovery process was a whole bunch of science and doctors and help and equipment and the treadmill, like you mentioned, stuff like that?
Technology definitely changed it, because I would never forget that when I was in Pop Warner high school, I don't think we did it either. And we'll always have a day off after the game. In
Hmm.
the NFL, you don't have a day off. You got to come in and you got to run all that
Exactly.
pain off. You got to know you have to run. You literally just run sprints, not fast
Hmm.
sprints, just to get the lactic acid out, all that pain away, go recover, go to the whirlpool. So,
Yeah.
and honestly, it actually worked. At
Mm.
first, I'm like, why are we running? We just had a game yesterday. I'm like, trust me, you're gonna want to do this. You're gonna feel
Yeah.
so much better the next day, and it actually loosens you up because a lot
Mhm.
of you not, man. Jay, after the game, especially if it's pound for pound, one of those AFC games where it's like Baltimore
Mhm.
versus Cleveland, where they run the ball out, hard hitting teams, you'll end up like beat up, like, yo, where did I get this injury? Why is my ankle sprained? Why is my knee swollen?
Yeah.
What is this right here? And you will never know where it came from because the adrenaline that you have from the game,
Yeah.
you will never feel it until the
Mhm.
next day or after the game. After you get out the shower and you walk into
Yeah.
the bus, wow, my body's aching. Oh,
Mm.
wait, we got a Thursday game after a Sunday night game. I'm like, yep, get back on it. Ain't no days off. Ain't no days off.
Okay. So just by understanding the science behind that recovery, you can become a better athlete, even if your skill set doesn't grow, just by being able to recover more effectively and quicker.
Yes, very true. Yes. And a lot of times, like, it's not just coming into the facility and doing it. You have to
Mm.
literally do things on your own. Like, if you're gonna stay
Okay.
home, a lot of guys will have a whirlpool in there. They'll put ice in there. Like you said
Hmm.
about Russell Wilson, how he would spend $1 million on his, trainers, his
Hmm.
chef, eating. Yes, definitely
Yeah.
a big
Interesting.
difference. Your trainers,
Yeah.
yes, they will definitely do a big difference in your body. Where to the point you recover so much faster. How? I don't know. But them trainers
Mhm.
know this trick or whatever it is that they do to you, and you recover so much faster. The point was like, let's go to it.
Yeah. And you see that a lot in the transition from college to pro, where sometimes like an NBA or an NFL athlete, they'll like grow significantly, and it's probably a combination of that uh, kind of knowledge of the nutrition and the recovery and the right training plan for the NFL, right?
It's huge. It's huge. Like you actually see, like if you look at Khalil Mack, who plays for the
Mhm.
he's played for the Bears now, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Beast. In college, he was a beast. But if you look at his picture of him playing in college and his
yeah,
picture now, completely different freak. He was a freak in college, but this guy is he's a freak of nature to the point like just look at his body, look at the his muscle fibers.
yeah,
That's him taking care of himself because now when you're in the NFL, it's
mhm,
literally just football. You don't have,
yeah,
oh, I got to go to class, or I got to do this, or I got
yeah,
practice, I got this. No, it's strictly you come in, you do your morning lift. We got team meetings. From a team meeting, you got position meeting. From position meeting, you got lifting. If you didn't
okay,
lift in the morning, and then from there we'll eat before practice. Then we'll practice, come back in, do another meeting, have
mm.
another team meeting, and then we go home to watch more film and then take care of your body and all that stuff. If you want to
Yeah,
stay back again, lift some more. If you want to stay back and go run some more. So that's the
okay,
reason why you see that the NFL is so much faster than college football because
mhm,
it's strictly just straight focus on football,
yeah,
football, and football.
that's life.
Yes, literally life. Like that's just your job. If you're not
Yeah,
getting better, I don't know what you're doing.
absolutely. So when I was at the University of Wisconsin, that's where I went to school. The Badgers football team would come to the mechanical engineering department, which is what I studied, and they would like put out projects for them to work on because they were trying to get every single advantage they could in terms of technology, whether that be for training, for analyzing athletes, etc. So I wanted to ask you, like, if you were back, in playing, or if let's say you wanted to coach your kids in the future, what do you think? Is there one piece of technology or an idea that you might have that would change the game? And that could be something that you're like, hey, this is a technology that exists already that I think could impact the sport, but it's not really being used yet. Or if it's something just totally long term, because some of these students are starting out very young in technology, and they can look very long into the future and develop things that will change the game long term.
In all honesty, Jay, that's a very good question. Long term, I do not know because literally, like every year, they have different rules, different
Okay.
technology coming out.
Yeah.
Back in the days, we had to wear this thing called butt pads for our tailbone.
Okay.
It's rare when you see that now. We used to have to wear the hip pads. It's rare when you
Yeah.
see that. Injuries, that's one thing I would look into more. How
Okay.
to prevent more injuries. Is it slowing
Okay.
down the game? Do you have to start walking? No, you can't do that because it's going to be boring. But in the future, if there could be a way because they actually happen now with the like I said before with the whole ACL. Back in the days,
Mhm.
ACL used to be, you know, a career ender.
Yeah.
Now you have 1 year to recover. You can come back full throttle.
Hmm.
Is there any way you could come up with a technology that'll make you recover even faster?
Okay.
Faster? I
Yeah.
don't know how, but if they was able to make it from a career ender, almost like
Mhm.
a, you know, a Tommy John surgery was a career ender. Now you recover so much faster from that. Take a year off and you back in action.
Yeah.
Is there any way to do it? I don't know. A lot of these
Mhm.
athletes are getting bigger, faster, and stronger that they might be able to recover even faster. So
Mhm.
I think if you guys could make something up with technology to help with that, especially medical wise,
Yeah.
that'll be golden.
Okay, that's awesome. So, students, if you're thinking about that, think about ways that you can start maybe doing like kind of like a preventative analysis. Like, is there ways that you can look and see, man, this person is running differently. There might be something wrong that maybe isn't hurting them right now, but could lead to a different injury, or to prevent injuries or post injury. Are there ways that we can help them get back to their careers quickly and at the highest level? So that's great because I remember hearing in the past about the ACL injuries and how that was so devastating. But then I remember like Adrian Peterson coming back and being like better than ever, and you start to see people recovering from it better, and that's because again that technology has advanced. We have a friend in common, Denise, who had an ACL injury, and she's already playing soccer and doing all
Look at
kinds of
that.
crazy stuff. So
Denise.
yeah, shout out to her. So teams definitely look into the different aspects of that, whichever one you guys are more excited about, whether that's treating it afterwards, possibly preventing it before, which is analyzing the athlete, or maybe even with some kind of uh, technology. We got some shout outs from some Bears fans, I think, because you said Khalil Mack. We got
The
some Cowboy
Bears.
fans. Glad we've got some NFL fans on here, and then people asking questions from all over the place. So we appreciate that. Let's see. I'm gonna look here back into the questions to see if there's any really good ones we haven't touched on yet. Um, we already talked about kind of how the rules and technology play hand in hand. We talked about helmets. We talked a little bit about statistics and physics as well. So I think we got a good amount of those questions. I want to ask you one last one though for just the students in general, anyone listening to this call. This has been a really tough year for a lot of people. I know getting to the NFL is an amazing accomplishment in its own. A very small percentage of the world is able to accomplish that, right? And there's a lot of people that have that dream. So, in terms of both going after your goals and then also in terms of perseverance, do you have any just general tips for the students and anyone listening on the call? What keeps you going when things get really tough, and what kept you moving forward and going after that goal? And then, is there anything specifically in this year that during these crazy times that you have advice for as well?
Whew, that's a good one.
That
Hey,
was
Killer
loaded,
Kendall, Kendall. Yeah,
right?
that was a loaded one. Kendall, what's up? What's up? I see you, bro. Good question, bro. Jay, no, honestly though, me being a walk on, I had to hold on to faith. It was
Okay.
faith and hard work. And a lot of
Mhm.
people would think that, oh, just because, you know, so and so got this handed to them, I should take the same route. Like, oh, I should go to Alabama because those are where the first round guys go to. I mean, sometimes, you know, honestly, not to go into this part, it's like God will put you in a certain situation to
Mhm.
see what kind of person you're going to grow to be. You have to
Okay.
go through the dirt. You have to go through the bad times for you to be
Yeah.
stronger and get better. And I think when I walked on, it humbled me to the point where I'm like, yo, I got no way out. It's like a dog that gets cornered.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? You're either gonna get killed here or you're gonna fight for your life. So it got to the
Mhm.
point where like, man, if for me to make it out, I gotta work my butt off for this. I have to.
Okay.
And in all honesty, man, if you're focused, go for it. Don't let
Mhm.
anybody tell you that you cannot do it. Because the more they tell you you cannot do it, use it for fuel and go
Yeah.
for it. Go for it because that's your life. You only live one time. Go
Yeah.
for it. And when I was going for it, and I know everybody was trying to shut down the whole baseball thing, I see what they meant. Listen at the same time. You have
Mhm.
two ears and one mouth for a reason, for you to
Yeah.
listen more and speak less.
I
So
like
when that
that.
whole thing happened, I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let me go into baseball and shut my mouth. And I play football, and I'm like, wow, look how far it took me. Where if not for football, me playing NFL, me and you would have never met in Exatlón. We played
Yeah.
against each other, and you, especially when you beat me, you know, in the water and all that stuff. But but yeah, man, that it's faith, man. Faith,
Yeah.
perseverance, keep going. The more they say no, it's all right.
Yeah.
Kendall, I seen my boy Kendall. He there listening. Kendall said one
Okay.
thing because he does real estate too, and he's a trainer. He said there's this thing when he calls people to do business, he's expecting people to say no, but he
Okay.
continues to go, continue to go. He continues to go because he knows all he needs is 1 to 2 to 3 people to say yes,
Mhm.
and it'll make a huge difference, and it'll grow
Yeah.
slowly but surely. Slowly but surely it will.
Man, that was a lot of really good stuff right there. So I want to unpack that a little more. I think one of the really key things you said is like knowing not only the 2 years in one mouth thing, but like knowing what to listen, right? Is this person hating on me? Or are they showing me a path that I might not be seeing, right? So the people that were telling you to do football weren't saying you're not good at baseball, you shouldn't go after this. They were saying, I see something in you that can be great. And so I feel like determining the difference between the haters and then the people that are actually trying to guide you towards something you might not be aware of is so critical, right? You need to understand what to push away and ignore, whether that's negative comments, or people, thinking your dreams are too big, but then also knowing when to take that advice from a coach or mentor that truly has your best interest at heart and being able to listen to that.
That's
I
very
think
true.
that's super deep.
Very true though, and then also, in all honesty, look at The Rock. He's a great example of a guy who tried to go to the NFL and didn't. And look at him now, he's big time.
Yeah.
He's acting. He done bought the XFL, one of the richest actors ever. He was never thinking about that. He went into wrestling, trying to be
Right.
like his father. Did great, but look at him now. It's a whole different. The world is so big that you just never know what can happen to you. Paco, I see you fight or flight. You're absolutely right, and you just never know. Just keep going because that
Yeah.
path could lead you somewhere even better that you would never.
Yeah.
You would never understand. But if you take it and you listen to the right people at the right time, it'll
Mhm.
lead you to the big picture that you want
Yeah.
to see, which is the end of that tunnel. Where's that light? Is that?
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So it's it's more like setting the level of like excellence that you want to achieve. And as you get closer to that, it might not look like exactly what you thought when you set out, but you still strive for that level and there's all kinds of greatness up here, right?
Yes.
Versus if you started going to one of those things and you're like, "Oh, I'm not going to make it," and you don't keep moving, then you're not going to get to any type of excellence up there. But you also brought up a good point that I wanted to share when you mentioned The Rock is like think of the NBA, NFL, there's not too many players that are owners. A lot of the owners of these teams started tech and science companies, made their millions and billions in that space, and then continued with their passion. Now The Rock owns part of the XFL, and so for our teams on here, if you're super passionate about football and from both angles, keep moving. Because even if you don't make it to the NFL, you can still build an exciting career around the technology that we've been talking about today. And that's what we've been trying to show everyone with this series is that there's so much science and technology around all the sports that we've been talking about that if you stay close to it, whether that's your dream as an athlete or your dream as a scientist and technologist in that space, if you stay close to it and understand that there's science and technology in the NFL, you can build an awesome career there on or off the field.
Very true. Very true. And it builds character too. Builds a
Mm-hmm.
lot of character. Like I've seen a lot of, especially my old teammates coming out of college and high school, they became great people. Some of
Yeah,
them became cops, real estate agent, whatever it is. Like
yeah,
just it's I don't know how to put it. Some people work out to look good.
mm-hmm.
Some people work out because mentally it just prepares them for life. Like they'll
Yeah,
wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work out. Is it for them to compete in the Olympics? No, it's for them to continue with the day. Like you know
yeah,
what? Let me go work out, wake up, get a little pump because that helps me go throughout what I need to accomplish for what I need in my life.
mm-hmm.
So just go with it. Go with it. If you want to play rec basketball because it make you feel better and you're not really trying to make it to the NFL, what's up, Valerie?
Yeah.
I see you.
Hey
Do it.
Valerie, what's
Do
up?
it.
3-0.
I see you knockout. But all that stuff, bro, it'll take you. It'll take you so. It's, the character is number one. Character is
Yeah,
number one, bro. And talent it comes second. Because a lot of times you see a lot of guys that they got a lot of talent, but the character is not there. And what happens? It's a waste of talent now. Because
mm-hmm.
now you either locked up or something happened where you can't play.
Yeah.
So if I was to ever see players, I love to see their talent, but also see what kind of character you have on and off the field.
Okay. Great. I was going to end it with that because that was such deep knowledge, but we got a good question here right now that I can't let go. Could you use drones to follow the ball? That would be so interesting. Imagine, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers throwing a Hail Mary pass and that drone is following the ball, providing a super unique angle that we've never seen before. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but it might, could be something that could make the game. You mentioned at the beginning you just had a few angles. Now you have got unlimited angles with something like that.
That's actually pretty dope. They actually, I don't know if they're using it anymore, but Monday Night Football, they usually have this camera that's in the middle of the field with a lot of strings attached to it, give you different angles.
On like the
Sometimes,
cables, right?
yes, with the cables, and they'll
Yeah.
follow like the kickoff right behind it. They'll follow the ball. The drone will take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So if they could, like almost like Esatron, they had the guy there with the drone, following us. If they could, that would be dope. That would be super dope.
That's cool.
I
So
think,
if any teams want to work on that, let us know what ideas you come up with because that sounds pretty cool.
Big time. Good question there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, man, taking out, especially on a Monday night, Thursday night football night to spend some time with the students, sharing your expertise from your experience in the NFL, both on the science side, but then also just some of the motivation that you shared at the end. I think is so on point for the teams, especially during this year that's been super challenging. So definitely, you guys follow Jose, keep up with what he's up to in life. If you have any ideas, or if you start working on any of the ideas that we talked about today, definitely tag us in your prototypes or in your thoughts so we can see what you all are developing and designing to change the game in the world of the NFL and beyond. So thanks again, Jose, and thank you for everyone who joined us today. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Appreciate that, Jay. Take care, brother.
Gracias. You too. See ya.